I'm excited to have you here with us. So as you know, each week we bring you Happily Adventures After Hey Disney Top 10, a podcast-style discussion about specific top 10s in each area of Disney. Whether it's Disneyland, Disney Cruise, Walt Disney World, who name it, we got it. I'm sure we'll branch out into other topics other than Disney Vacation, making it more Disney-oriented, but hey, we're here. So why is it Hey Disney Top 10? Well, as you know, Walt Disney World recently upgraded some features, including Amazon Alexas within the rooms, and you can shut those off if you want. But they have a Hey Disney feature. This Hey Disney provides the opportunity to either play games, learn information and facts about Walt Disney World, acts as a concierge from your resort room. So for instance, you can ask the front desk, hey, can I have more towels? And they give them to you. Now, this podcast will serve as the same discussion. We're acting as that virtual concierge to share information about right now the Disney parks or Disney resorts, whatever it is, and to just be that person to have fun and hang out with for this time that you're listening to the podcast and serve as a discussion. Will we bring you towels? No, that's not what we're going to do. As I said, I gave that example, but we're not going to do it. However, we will talk to you about lots of fun in any topic at Disney. Now, we are going to dive into one of my favorite topics because it takes some methodical thinking, which is the Hey Disney Top 10 this week for tips for preparing to go on a Walt Disney World vacation. Why is this one of my favorites? Because I am an organizer and a planner. And I think that this is really something really fun to talk about. So when you're planning and preparing to go to Walt Disney World, I think those are two different things. So you have to plan to prepare and you have to plan to plan. So in this episode, we're going to touch on the preparation that you may take. So top 10 things to prepare for when you're going on that Walt Disney World vacation. As a caveat, these can be used on a variety of vacations for Disney, whether you're Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise, Adventures by Disney. It's all pretty general and can be applied to wherever you're going. They are labeled as Walt Disney World trips, but I wanted to keep them general enough that you could use them. However, there are some specifics to Walt Disney World that will be there. As we all know, Walt Disney World vacations take a lot bit of planning. So no matter if you've been there a million times or no times at all, you're still going to need to plan and prepare yourself to go. So in giving you these top tips for preparing, we hope that it can help you have the best Walt Disney World vacation you can. All right, I've talked enough. Without further ado, in no particular order, here are our Hey Disney top 10 tips for preparing for your Walt Disney World vacation. Okay, so our first Hey Disney top 10 for preparing to go to Walt Disney World is to be flexible with your dates. Now before we start, I understand you may be locked into your days. So let's say there's an event you're going to. I know Walt Disney World hosts a lot of cheerleaders. Sometimes there are also dance events, like competitive dance. Maybe you're locked in for a school break or a work break, whatever it is, they may be non-negotiable. So if that applies to you, throw this out the window to a degree, but listen to the dates for hotels and tickets. But if you can be flexible with your dates, I highly suggest it. Even if it's a day or two, I suggest you take a look overall at what dates you can go and to see how you can get the best bang for your buck. I don't know if you know, but Walt Disney World uses dynamic pricing for both their resort stay and their park tickets, as well as for things like lightning lanes. So with that being said, you might be able to save some money if you're able to have flexibility with your dates, either park dates, like I said, and moving your travel dates even by one day. So saving that money, it may not be a ton, but it at least is some. For instance, if you're looking at a 4-day park ticket, now this is a 1 park per day ticket, and you're looking to go, I'm going to use dates in December 2024. So let's say the range at this time for the entire month is $147 per person per day. And buying that ticket, it goes as high as $160 per person per day for that ticket. So that's all December long. Now, let's say you want to visit all 4 parks, 1 per day, for 1 week from December 14th to the 22nd, all encompassing your flights. Well, if if you want to start that park ticket on the Monday for the 4 parks per day, you're paying a total of $599.60 US plus taxes per person. You would have from the 14th to the 22nd of December to use all of those park days. Now, if you were going home, let's say, on the 22nd, your last day in the park's the 21st, well, okay, you kind of got the most out of those tickets. But let's say you started your ticket on the 15th, so that's Sunday. Now, even if you're not going to the park until Monday, you're going to save about $5 a person. So the ticket would become $594.49 US per person plus taxes. That ticket will run you until December 21st. Okay, you were leaving on the 22nd using this analogy. So you weren't even going to be in the parks that day. Does $5 save you a lot of money? No. But in a family of 4, it would be $20 US plus tax. If you're Canadian, the exchange rate's going to cost you a little bit more. So then you get the savings there. Why I suggest you being flexible using this example of the park tickets is if you're flexible, you can kind of save some money. This also goes for flights, okay, everybody? I'm sure you know, but flights differ per demand and per day. So if you can be flexible with the time you leave, the date you leave, whatever it is, you might be able to save some serious money just with that flexibility. Again, if you can't, totally get it. But just keep in mind. Now, I also want to bring up the flexibility with something like these special event tickets. Because if you're more flexible for these dated special event things like holiday parties, you can actually save some money. Because prices for holiday parties or after hours also use dynamic pricing. Sometimes party tickets or special events like the after hours actually cost different prices within the same week for the exact same event. Now, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party this year has tickets available within the same week in October for $179 US per person plus tax, and it ranges for another $10 increase, so to $189 US per person plus tax. If you have a 4-person party, that's $40 that you may spend or save just with dates. So something like that small modification can actually give you a pretty decent price savings. So I know there are 2 different dates, but using the ticket analogy and the Mickey's Not So Scary, because it also, like I said, stems into the Christmas party, you saved yourself about $60. That can be used on something like a snack in the park, maybe even more money spent on the airport. Did you park your car at the airport? Whatever it is, like I said, be flexible if you can within your range. Also, I would highly suggest, this is a kind of side note to the tip, which is use the same tactic with hotel prices, because the price to stay in the hotel differs per night, either if you're in a deluxe and a moderate, and sometimes you can, for instance, have different pricing and price yourself out of a moderate and then go into a deluxe, and you get the deluxe hotel if you're staying on property benefits. And like I said, even with flights, I have totally saved about $200 per person, and we had like 4 people in our party by flying the day after. It was $800 we saved US for the flight, and then it didn't cost us that much in a hotel stay, so we saved in the long run, and we added an extra day for a vacation. Okay, so let's go back to that hotel. I'm going to take you back. I apologize. I got off on a tangent. But when you're staying at Walt Disney World property and you're looking at being flexible, you can also look at a split stay. So split stay is where at Walt Disney World, guests are able to divide their vacation stays between 2 or more different Disney World hotels in a single trip. And you can experience the different themes, amenity, and locations. I've heard a lot of people doing it, for instance, and they start at a value resort and then move up to a deluxe resort, and then plan their park tickets according, because some parks will offer the deluxe benefits to those guests for extended evening hours. So you kind of can plan where you want to stay based on when the hotels are doing extended evening hours. Disney will also conveniently transfer your luggage for you. So if you're being flexible, for instance, and you're like, okay, I can spend 2 nights here at a moderate or a value resort and wait to go to that deluxe for the remaining 5 nights, for instance. Not only did I save some money there, I get to see 2 different resorts. For instance, maybe you stayed at the Pop Century, moved over to the Polynesian Village. However, in providing that split stay, you're also able to kind of play the game to see, okay, maybe I spend 2 nights here and it drops the stay at the deluxe, or I spend 3 nights here and I eliminate the most expensive night at the deluxe hotel I was looking at, and then can move over. So all that to say, just use the approach of being flexible when you're looking at it. Play different alternatives to find cheaper rates for some shorter times, longer times, whatever they may be, whether that be tickets, flights, Walt Disney World hotels, all of that. So, okay, that was a long tangent on being flexible, but please be flexible to save some hard-earned cash while you're on your Walt Disney World trip. All right, my second tip here is to plan for the unexpected. So when you're preparing to go anywhere, we all know life happens. Are you the person that takes an extra outfit with you? Are you the person that has snacks, Band-Aids, some pills with things like antacids, Advil, Benadryl, whatever it is in your purse? Do you have Kleenex, hand sanitizers? Do you have gum? Like, are you that person? All right, you're preparing for the unexpected with me because I am that person. Well, when you're at Walt Disney World, you've got to do the same thing. And I highly suggest that in general, you plan for the unexpected while you're at the resorts so that if an emergency happens, you are ready and prepared. So not only that, Florida weather is unpredictable. It can change in an absolute instant, and it may not even be forecasted. So I highly suggest when you're planning and preparing, prepare for that unexpected weather shift. It may sound crazy, for instance, but you might want to bring a sweater in the middle of August because the resort might be cold. Dinner is going to be cold. Even if it's 40 degrees Celsius outside, it may feel a little chilly at times when you're in your resort. Maybe you're there in the winter and you think it is cool in terms of Florida. Well, guess what? You may be wrong, because I have been to Walt Disney World in December and I was too hot in shorts and a tank top that I was like, I gotta get out of the sun. It was a weird time. I'm not even kidding. It was 4 degrees Celsius one night and then 32 degrees the next 2 days. It was wild. But all I'm saying is, using those examples, pack for the unexpected, plan for the unexpected. Taking that with you, also plan that into your park days. Look, you may experience unexpected ride downtime. Maybe there's an unexpected delay or unexpected crowd, either at Walt Disney World, in your travels, or whatever you're doing. I highly recommend you build some flexibility in terms of your itinerary and planning for the unexpected. Let's say you want to fly to the parks 2 days before your first park visit, so that way if a flight is canceled, you know that, okay, I'm not missing the park day that I had planned. So you fly down, then the next day you spend at your resort. Let's say your flight got canceled that day, you can get on a flight the next day. Do you know what I mean? So just when you're doing it, I highly suggest you prepare for the unexpected. And doing so, if something goes wrong, you have yourself ready. Also, having a backup for any attractions, let's say, that go down that you wanted to do. Hey, we can do that later. We built in some time here. Whatever it is, it helps you make the most of a wonderful vacation and keep your Disney World experience magical and enjoyable, even if things doesn't go as planned. And that is why we had to include this in our top 10 tips for being prepared to go to Walt Disney World. Third on our list is to know your important dates. So when you're at Walt Disney World, you want to stay on top of your important booking dates and booking windows, because that will help to ensure smooth sailing for everything you need to do. So for instance, if you're staying on property, Walt Disney World lets you book lightning lanes for the entirety of your trip up to 7 days in advance. Off-property guests, however, can book 3 days in advance of that park day. So if you're doing that, using that lightning lane example, if I am staying on property, let's say my vacation is the 14th. Well, on the 7th, I can go and book that vacation. I'm going to use that December trip. So we were staying the 14th and in the parks until the 21st. On the 7th of December, like I was using that example earlier, I can go in and book lightning lanes per park every day that I'm in the park 7 days in advance. So technically, if you're a week out and doing it for your park stay, so your first day in the Walt Disney Resort is the 14th, then I can go all the way to the 21st, because that's the entirety of my stay at Walt Disney World. So it allows me to have that booking window. Now, if I'm an off-property guest, so let's say that I was staying at, I'm going to use this as one of our favorite places to stay off-property. It's Reunion Resort and Golf Club. And we actually have blog posts and a top 10 on that. So go check it out. But shameless plug there. If I'm staying off-property, I myself, even though I might have a 5-day park ticket or an annual pass that's valid for so many different days. Now, annual pass, make sure to make your reservations so you can book your lightning lane. If I was staying off property for that time at Reunion Resort, for instance, from the 14th to the 22nd, like we talked about earlier, I would then only be able to book 3 days in advance. Let's say my first park day was the 15th. I'm making this up. Then I would have to wake up at 7 a.m. and book for 7 a.m. On the 12th. My next park day might be the 16th. I'd have to do it again. So know your important dates and know who you are for the system to recognize it so that you are there. Also, know your dining reservations. So dining reservations open 60 days in advance. Now, on-property guests get to reserve for the entirety of that stay. Let's go back to that December 14th through the 22nd discussion we were having earlier with the park tickets, all that. For my dining reservations, I would have, if I was staying on Walt Disney World property, 60 days in advance from the 14th, the day I check into Walt Disney World, my hotel. Even if I wasn't going to the parks until later, I would have 60 days in advance of December 14th to be able to book the entirety up to a certain number of days. Just check that on the Disney website for my dining reservations. And I'm able to get basically whatever I want. Total side tip, but I highly recommend working backwards. So get the most coveted ones you want later in your trip because those will be open to anybody who is in that window. Okay, tangent. However, if you're staying off property, again, you have 60 days from that date. So whatever it is, know your important dates. Know where you stand in that Disney system. Are you an on-property guest? Are you an off-property guest? That way you're able to book what you need to book, even for final payments, final vacation package deadlines, or payment schedules. Know it. Set those reminders to avoid any last minute stress, get those preferences, and secure what you need to secure so that you can have a little bit of extra magic and relaxation on your Disney trip. Make sure you keep track of everything and get the best experience you can. Next tip here for your Hey Disney top 10 on preparing to go to Walt Disney World is have your non-negotiable and negotiable items at Walt Disney World per person. So why do I have this? Well, it's to keep everyone in your travel party happy and ensure that everyone has a fun Walt Disney World vacation and they get what they want. So it's hard to accommodate it. If this is a huge party, well, you're going to have to talk to your party about that. But if you're going with your family, a few friends, make sure everyone picks something that they want to do and it's something that is a non-negotiable must do and 2 other negotiable preferences so that everybody can prioritize their top choices. But if you have those non-negotiable, the one thing, now inclement weather aside or sickness aside, whatever it is, make sure that you can have it and give that flexibility to say, no, this is what I really want to do. So there's 4 people in your party. There would be 4 non-negotiable items, let's say per park, per day, per vacation, whatever you and your family decide. But the negotiable items give you some flexibility. Maybe they're a snack, but you don't care where you get it. Maybe they're a souvenir, but you don't care again where you get it from. Maybe it's even an attraction, a show. Whatever it is, make sure everyone feels included and keep those plans realistic and adaptive. So in doing this, it really gives your vacation something fun, memorable for each person while accommodating everyone. I'll give you an example. Recently, my mom requested bread pudding because she's really wanted to try it at Walt Disney World. We've been trying to get this for years. I'm not even kidding. We just never hit the right spot at the right time. And it's her birthday on our trip coming up. So I researched it. We found it. We chose where she wants to eat for her birthday based on getting bread pudding. Also, I really would like to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure yet again. So that's going to be a priority on our trip. Now, when we look at our trip as a whole, those are 2 very non-negotiable items. Again, being flexible in case something actually happened. But there are other things on our trip that are negotiable. So sorry. And those might be, we want to make sure that we get an ice cream. We don't care where we get the ice cream from. Just as a side note, maybe it's something you want to do. You want to go shopping off property from Walt Disney World. Well, is that a negotiable, non-negotiable? Again, these are just examples so that everyone is ensuring they have a good time, where everyone is treated fairly and everybody gets to do what they would like to do, and it keeps the group happy and ready to go and excited for more. So that is our tip there. Coming in number 5 on this list is to know your budget, then double it. All right, Disney World trips are like a home renovation. You got to double your budget. Why? Because things happen on your trip that do not go your way and require maybe a little bit of unplanned cash. And that is why we've included this in our Hey Disney Top 10 tips for preparing to go to Walt Disney World, because having your budget doubled will really help you if you can. Maybe it's 1.5, whatever it is in the long run. So for instance, in April of this year, we had to book 2, not 1, but 2 extra nights in a hotel due to car issues. On our blog, we discussed that more, but we had a car battery issue, and then we had a broken windshield, both of which have never happened to us before. So this unexpected cost, not only of having our car have to get fixed and using whatever there, we had to prepare ourselves for more time, not only away from home, but to cover the cost of those 2 extra nights in the hotel. So having the allocated extra funds when you're preparing to go to Walt Disney World, that's why I said to double your budget. Make sure that you can cover anything else. Plus, you never know when you might get swept up in the Disney magic and you see some things you want to indulge in. Whether they're dining experiences, splurging on souvenirs, we've been there. I've come home with my fair share of things. Heck, the last Disney trip I was on, I walked to a Sephora and went, I'll take that. Do I have a Sephora at home? Yes. Can I order Sephora online? Do it all the time. But for some reason, I wanted that stuff. Can't tell you why. I use it when I'm home and it's really fun because it makes me have like trip memories. But doubling the budget allowed me to buy those extra souvenirs, so to speak, and then let me enjoy a stress-free trip without the extra stress of financing. Oh no, what are we going to do? Oh no, whatever. Plus, then you can either use those funds for whatever else you want to while you're on Walt Disney World, so you never spent them. Maybe you can use it to plan another trip back to Walt Disney World, or use it for whatever else. It's your money, but I'm just using it as an example. Disney World trips are like home renovations, so double your budget. Okay, so our 6th tip here on the Hey Disney Top 10 to prepare to go to Walt Disney World is to make your travel arrangements around your family and friends, whoever you're going with, needs and wants. Okay, so this may seem like a pretty normal travel tip, but sometimes when you're going to Walt Disney World, you think, that doesn't apply. We're going to do what we got to do. But trust me, you want to make sure you plan around your own needs, your family's needs and their wishes and wants, or whoever you're going with. Why I say that is because it's essential to travel and be on a vacation where you know you're going to be happy and having fun. So if you're traveling down to Walt Disney World, for instance, and you're driving, consider the best time to leave. Are you morning people or are you more alert at night? How long will it take you to get there? Where are your planned rest stops? Decide if you need a rest day before hitting the parks. All of those things, why I say plan around your family's needs and make sure your travel arrangements are done so, is it makes sure everybody's happy and not grumpy. Also, for instance, if you're flying, are you going to fly out of your home airport? All right, maybe you sit in the middle and there's an airport an hour either way. Which one has the best accommodations and flights for your family? Maybe one has a direct flight, maybe one is indirect. All of those options, when you're thinking about flights, for instance, what's the best departure time? Do you need to stay in a hotel to make the trip smoother because you know you have to drive 2 hours to the airport and your flight leaves at 7 a.m. Like little things like that. You really just need to know your family's travel style to ensure that you have a stress-free trip down and way home. And that way your Walt Disney World vacation is nothing short of magical. So I'm going to tell you about our pretty normal travel pattern at this point down to Walt Disney World to highlight this as an example. We normally take morning flights because we are morning people, and I'm not going to say I take a 6 a.m. or a 7 a.m. flight. I kind of want to do that one day just for the heck of it because I'll be like, wow, what's it like? I think I've done it. I've actually done it one time because that was the only one that was around, but it's really fun when you have the whole day, but you're bloody exhausted. But we always haven't actually taken an earlier morning flight. We used to take the red-eye flight, so whoever we were going with was working during the day. We'd go to sleep, we'd land at, let's say, 12 p.m., or I guess it's 12 a.m., sorry. We'd land at 12 a.m., 1 a.m. kind of thing, grab our rental car, go to our accommodation, spend the night, and then we'd have the extra day kind of instead of the traveling in the morning. Oh ho ho. Now, as you know, as you grow and develop into a person, things can change. Well, guess what? I can't take those red-eye flights anymore. It does not work with me. I need a full night's sleep. I need like 8 hours of sleep in my own bed. So they do get cut short on travel days, right? Because you're going to the airport, you got to make sure you're there early, all of those fun things. But we now fly earlier in the mornings instead of late at night on our travel day. Do we miss out part of the morning there? Yes. However, do we all get a nice sleep the day before? Heck yeah, we're not up till 2 in the morning kind of thing. So knowing the way your travel party needs to travel really will help you have a great time. Also, for instance, we also fly direct and we avoid layovers. So we search for airports. We have one that we go to quite frequently, and we search for those flights that are only direct. Now, on the flip side, when we drive down to Walt Disney World, it is a long drive. So we like to leave early, both when we stay and go for the first leg, which is our house to the hotel, and then you go sleep. Then you drive from the hotel to Walt Disney World, for instance, wherever you're stopping. We like to leave early in the morning so we can reach our destination and be in bed by like 8, 9 p.m. max. Again, that's possible. It gets shifted if something happens. Now, doing this for us keeps our routine pretty smooth, and it kind of mimics the day that you would have. For instance, if you're normally up and going at 5 a.m. to go to work, you're in bed by 8 or 9. Again, you're mimicking that day, and that's something my family and I value. If you are night owls, for instance, or don't need a lot of sleep, you might be able to adjust your accommodations, take that red eye, drive at night. Let's say you have little kids and you find it easier to drive through the night to Walt Disney World. Again, whatever it is, just using those examples, do it how it works for you so that you set yourself and your travel party up for success to have the best Walt Disney World vacation possible. Our 7th tip here is to plan your rest days. I'm a big advocate for resting on your Walt Disney World vacation. Walt Disney World is huge and will run you off your feet from exhaustion if you let it. So between travel days, park days, whatever it is, I highly suggest when you're preparing to go to Walt Disney World, building in your schedule, make sure that rest is there and everyone in the group gets rest, gets that relaxation, so everybody's a happy person and not a grumpy pants, and it's a happy trip. So I think rest days are actually essential to Walt Disney World for a fun and balanced trip. So it gives you a chance to recharge between each park day or your travel days or whatever it is, and then get you going to move forward. So I don't even care if this is a day at Disney Springs, if you're taking the day to relax, if you're at a special ticketed event such as an after hours event, or if you're at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, whatever it is, or you spend a day at your resort by the pool, don't care. Add some rest in there. Resort days are some of the best days, whether you're at Walt Disney World Resort itself, staying off property, I don't care. Just go and treat yourself. Enjoy downtime. If you're feeling adventurous, go out and go shopping, for instance, or go sightseeing in the area. Incorporating your rest days where you step yourself out of the parks kind of gives you that schedule to keep everybody refreshed and ready for more magic. And this kind of goes back to our topic earlier when we were talking about know your travel party. So for us, we always build in rest days. So I'm a big advocate for alternating and knowing our family and our friends that we go with and alternating days. For instance, we're not alternating families. I think that's kind of sounded like that. No, we're alternating days, for instance, that we're in the park and a rest day. Does that mean we're on a longer vacation? Yes. Does that mean that sometimes we miss things in the parks? Yes. However, I would rather, for instance, fly down. Then now if it's a short trip, I'm going full throttle here and we'll rest when we get home. But I'm just using that as I've done like a weekend trip and that's what happens. But I normally plan in. So if we travel one day, the next day is a rest day. Then we go to a park. Then there's a rest day. However, the next day, let's say we go swimming or shopping or whatever it is. Then we go to a park. Then we go rest or go out. And so we're back and forth. We always also plan a rest day right before we leave. That way, we ensure we're not rushed around, we're not exhausted when we're going to fly home or drive home, and we are fully recharged and of sound mind and ready to just enjoy our time, opposed to being like, okay, we're in the parks till close tonight and our flight leaves at 7 a.m. the next morning. Not for me, not for my family. It just doesn't work for us. So why I say that is, again, knowing your family, knowing your travel party, just please rest. Even if you traveled down, you went to the parks for 2 days, you rested for a day, you go to the parks for another 2 days, you rested and go home. Like, whatever it is, again, I understand it might not be possible always with the days, but I'm just saying that rest is an important thing. When you're on Walt Disney World, it's hot, you're tired, you're walking, so just keep everybody refreshed, ready to go, healthy and happy, and just plan those rest days, most certainly. All right, this 8th tip for our preparation for Walt Disney World is to stock your devices for travel. Now, what does that mean? It means that when you're traveling to Walt Disney World, you want to enjoy all parts of it, and that including the travel portion of the day. So stocking all of your devices with either games, shows, movies, music, whatever it is, to keep yourself entertained along the journey. Either if you're flying or driving, just have options to help you pass the time and keep yourselves in high spirits as you get there. So this may sound easy and sound smart, but when you do it, it helps you enjoy the process. So for instance, if you're flying, you may be like, I don't need to prepare anything on my phone, iPad, whatever it is, because the airplane has seat back entertainment or a streaming entertainment app you can download through their website, whatever it is. Don't always rely on these because sometimes it can fail. And I've been there and I've done that. In-flight entertainment is just like your phone at home. It doesn't work when you need it to work most. And you know what? Sometimes just things happen. It's a technology thing. Technology can fail us, everybody. But why I say that as just have things on your phone or your iPad to pass the time, whether your flight's an hour to 6 hours. You have it there and it's a backup. Plus, you never know when you're going to need to break it out. For instance, if you're in the car, as a passenger, let's say you flew to an airport, you flew to Tampa Airport instead of the Orlando Airport, and your family has to drive there, your friends do. Well, you in the passenger seat might need some music to play through for the car. Okay. Does that make sense? For sure. The same thing goes as if you're driving down to Walt Disney World. You as a passenger need things to pass the time because maybe you're like me and your drive is about 20 hours long. So with that being said, bring what you need. And it doesn't always have to be tech. You can also bring things like card games, coloring. Even if you're an adult coloring books are super fun, or a book to read, whether you want to do it as a group or individual. So have things stocked up to pass the time. So I always stock my iPod, oh my goodness, do they make those anymore? I don't think they do. I meant to say iPad with my comfort shows, whether it be Modern Family, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I have High School Musical 3 on there, the movie In the Heights, the show Reba, that show is hilarious and doesn't get as much love anymore. Baby Daddy, that show is also hilarious. I just have them in case I need them ever. And so with that, I have some comfort entertainment, whether they're on the flight or the drive or just in general, but I also can break them out when I need them. So if in-flight entertainment isn't cutting it, well, I got that. If we're driving, we listen to it and we laugh along in the car. So that's why I always suggest to stock up your devices for travel. Also bring things like headphones because you have to be able to listen to this if you're doing it on your devices. Now, if you're doing card games, you don't need headphones for that. But if you're in, for instance, the car, everybody gets a headphone and nobody wants to hear conflicting things. Or if you're in a plane and you have to have headphones, make sure you either get corded ones. You can get cheap ones from Amazon or Walmart or wherever you're at. Or if you have Bluetooth headphones, there's always like Bluetooth transmitters that you can use. Make sure you pair them at home before you start using them on the plane. But that way you have it there so you're ready to go. And as a side note, make sure everything is charged and make sure you have extra charging cords and a portable charger because we're going to need it. So that's just my reminder for you. And that's why I always suggest when you're going down to Walt Disney World and preparing to go, you want to stock your devices for your travel. Okay, my 9th tip here is to print out all your documents. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. Print everything out. I talked about this in the top tips for Canadians going down to Walt Disney World, but I gotta talk about it again because it may sound a little bit old school, but it has saved me more than once, not only on my Disney World trips, but anything in general. And so that's why I highly suggest to print out all of your reservations, all of your confirmation numbers, whatever it is, have a physical copy with you. If it's your hotel booking details, if it's your flight details, your park tickets, directions. Do you know how many times directions in a physical copy has actually worked? They can be lifesaver to have on your hand. I highly encourage you to do this because systems fail, phones don't cooperate. Remember, we just said tech doesn't tech when you need it to. There can be so many other hiccups that you can count, but having a printed copy can come to your rescue. I'm a millennial who owns a printer, everyone, and I print things out, and I print out doubles or triples for traveling. We have had systems go down, for instance, when we're traveling, you know, the little flight, when you pop in your boop, 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 boop on your reservation, let's say it doesn't read it, or your phone battery dies randomly. Well, with that happening, having a printout, I am somebody who prints out a physical ticket at the airport, okay? They can be helpful because you can show proof of anything you need if your phone goes down, but also you have it as a backup just in case of an emergency, in case of anything else. So make sure before you're headed out on your most magical adventure you can, have a printout of all of your essential information. It's a small effort that can make a big difference on your trip and helps it to run very smoothly. My last tip, and guys, we don't have an honorable mention. Oh, I did this one. My last tip for you for a Hey Disney Top 10 to prepare to go to Walt Disney World is to create a tailored packing list. Why did I suggest that? Is because it'll help you make sure you have all your essentials for your Walt Disney World trip. Walt Disney World is a beast of its own, and we're talking about this in terms of any vacation. A packing list that is tailored to your needs in Walt Disney World is something that I highly recommend. You want to ensure you have a smooth and enjoyable trip, and you've put all of this preparation and planning and excitement into it, so you want to make sure you have what you need for your adventure. Start by noting down your essentials, such as suitable clothing for each weather and the unexpected weather. Bring a poncho, bring a rain jacket, whatever it is. You want to make sure you have comfortable shoes for a long park day. You actually want 2 shoes so you can alternate between them. Bringing your sun gear, anything for special activities like swimming or a fancy dinner. Bring that list of things you have, do it before, create that packing list. Maybe you need to ensure that when you're preparing to go and preparing to do that packing, you have all of your Disney shirts you wanted to bring laid out. Whatever it is, make that list well in advance to help you prepare for Walt Disney World. So you know, for instance, if you need to buy anything, if you're running low on anything, what you need to pack. And in doing so, it'll really help you to have specifics based on what you're going to do. So for instance, if I'm attending a Halloween or Christmas party, I want to include more themed or colorful themed outfits for this event to keep me in the spirit of the season. So for the Christmas party last year when we went, I made sure I had a really fun red top. Some of my family had green tops. That way we could go with the red, green, the white, whatever it was. In doing so, I made my tailored packing list well in advance, so I knew when I go to pack, for instance, I'm somebody who packs a week in advance. Why? Because I overpack. So then I got to pull things out of my suitcase, put them back out to make sure I only have my things I need and I'm not like overpacking. But in doing so, it'll help you make sure that you bring everything you need that is essential to your trip and not just a generic packing list. Because something you're going to bring to Walt Disney World is going to be completely different than what somebody else would bring for a trip to, for instance, Europe, or if you were somebody else even going to Walt Disney World. Also, don't forget things like chargers. Been there, forgot that, had to pick one up at Target one time. Or snacks. Let's say you had specific snacks you wanted to bring. Make sure you make a list of those snacks so you put them in your park bag or whatever it is so that you're ready to go. All of that to say is when you prepare for something like using a packing list that's tailored to your essentials on Walt Disney World, you're going to be able to, again, make the most of that trip, make it more magical, make it a great experience, and make it stress-free. And circling it back, when I say create a packing list, don't forget to write on the list things that are printed out, like confirmations, reservations, and things like that. See what I did there? I circled you back to a tip. All in all, is just to say, prepare for Walt Disney World in that way when you have that packing list so you can get the best and most out of it so you're ready and organized. Okay, everybody, we did it! We made it through the top 10 Hey Disney tips for preparing to go to Walt Disney World. So Doing a little bit of preparation to go to Walt Disney World, as I said numerous times, can help you have a smooth and enjoyable trip. Maybe you're preparing for unexpected costs. Maybe you were thinking about being flexible with your dates, where you're staying, your park tickets, so that you can save a little bit of money there. You're also preparing and planning your packing list. You're planning your non-negotiables. Whatever it is, when you prepare and go through the motions for that for your Walt Disney World trip, it is really there to help you design and navigate your journey to Walt Disney World with ease and to make it the best it can be. And that's what I really hope this Hey Disney Top 10 preparation to go to Walt Disney World was for you. We here at Happily Adventure Afters are very excited to help you make the most of your trip and avoid any travel pitfalls or anything like that. And we'd love to hear from you. So what are you using as your top tips to prepare yourself to go to Walt Disney World? Do these actually translate between Walt Disney World and Disneyland? Because those are two different entities, right? So what do you think? Have you encountered any surprises that you think these tips could help you with? Join our conversation on our podcast here in the comments. Join us over on Instagram at Happily Adventures After. Don't forget to go see the corresponding blog post on our website, Happily Adventures After, and share in the magic of Disney with us. Your stories and insights really do enrich the community, and it really helps us stay and enjoy our time together. We can't wait to hear from you. So stay tuned, like I said, for more tips, updates, and behind the scenes look at all things Disney right here on Happily Adventure After. Thank you so much for joining us for our Hey Disney Top 10 tips to prepare yourself to go to Walt Disney World, and we can't wait to have you back soon. Have a blessed and amazing, wonderful day. It's been lovely. My name is London, and I hope you just enjoy. Bye. I'll talk to you later.